When did you realize your dad didn't love you? My father raised me alone after my mother left when I was 3. He maintained a strange set of rules that seemed protective as a child but served a darker purpose. The first few were simple. No sleepovers for safety, no social media for privacy, no photos anywhere. But it got worse. I had to walk with my head down, speak in monotone, never laugh loud enough to be remembered, and wear the same gray clothes every day so no one would notice me. Couldn't raise my hand in class, couldn't excel at anything, couldn't be bad at anything either. I was trained to just exist in the middle. Forgettable. The worst part was the documentation. Things like morning saliva samples for hormone testing, voice recordings to track sensual development in my tone, temperature readings between my legs. He'd make me practice being touched without flinching, grabbing my arms, waist, neck to build tolerance. Said emotions caused impurity, so I couldn't cry, couldn't laugh, couldn't react to anything. At school, I was the weird girl who never talked, sat alone, ate nothing, stared at walls. When group projects formed, everyone avoided me. Girls whispered about my monotone voice, my blank stare, how I flinched when anyone got close. They stopped trying to include me by middle school. I wanted friends desperately, but couldn't form words he hadn't approved. I wanted to laugh at jokes, but my face wouldn't move. The isolation was suffocating. Teachers thought I was autistic or disturbed, called home about my concerning behavior, but Dad always had explanations: anxiety disorder, social phobia, selective mutism. Around 15, things got stranger. Dad installed new locks on all the windows, security cameras in my room. He started giving me special vitamins that made me drowsy. He measured me weekly, photographed my face monthly, he said, to track how I was growing. Once I woke at 3 a.m. to a clicking sound. Pretended to stay asleep. Through barely open eyes, I saw him standing in my doorway with a camera, taking photo after photo of me sleeping. Then he locked himself in his office. That's when I heard something I'd never heard before. My father yelling, actually screaming into the phone, desperate, begging. I'd never seen him show emotion beyond fear, but now he was sobbing between words I couldn't make out. When I asked him about it at breakfast, his whole body went rigid. Bad dream, he said, not meeting my eyes. You were having a bad dream. When I insisted I'd heard him yelling, he gripped his coffee mug so tight it cracked. You're confused. The pills sometimes cause auditory hallucinations, but I knew what I'd heard, and the way he kept staring at me, like memorizing my face, told me something was up. It got more suspicious to me when people started knocking on our door. Dad had no friends, no family, but suddenly there were strangers showing up at odd hours. Old work colleague, he'd say with a forced smile, sending me upstairs, but his voice was different from them, submissive, scared. That's when I decided to find out what was really happening. Started by palming the pills instead of swallowing them, hiding them in my mattress lining. My head cleared for the first time in years, and with it came the ability to think, to plan. I waited for his patterns. Tuesday grocery runs, 2 hours. Thursday errands, 90 minutes. I'd been practicing with bobby pins on my bedroom lock until I could pick it in seconds. His office would be harder, but I was ready. That Tuesday, the moment his car left, I went to work. His office door took 3 attempts. Inside, I barely recognized the room. Papers everywhere. Not the organized documentation I expected, but chaos. Bills covered his desk, all stamped, final notice, in red. Foreclosure warnings from the bank. Credit card statements with numbers that made me dizzy. Then I found the medical bills. Hundreds of them. Monica Patterson, oncology ward. My mother's name was supposedly Linda. These were dated 12 years ago, the same time she supposedly left. Chemotherapy costs, $340,000. Surgery, $180,000. Experimental treatments, $500,000. She hadn't left us. She'd died, and he'd been drowning ever since. Underneath were the loan documents. Not from banks, from people with names that sounded fake. Mr. White, Mr. Black, Mr. Gray. The interest rates were insane, doubling every year. But it was the collateral section that made me stop breathing. Ava, female, currently age 13, virgin status guaranteed. Legal guardianship to be transferred at age 16 if balance remains unpaid. Adoption papers pre-signed. Regular documentation required as proof of asset condition. That's when I realized every rule, every pill, every measurement had been part of the agreement. He wasn't protecting me. He was maintaining their investment until he could sign over his parental rights. Full story on channel linked below.